Once upon a time, there was a splendid village near a dense forest. The chief monk with his disciples was meditating in this forest, and one day they all set off for a sermon in the morning while the rays of sunlight penetrated through the trees and the atmosphere. The monks had to set off through the village near the forest where they were meditating. While they were passing the forest and just about to enter the village, the monks saw a man in the village shouting and yelling at an innocent cow, who was tied by a rope around the neck of the cow and was reluctant to go in the direction of the cow's master, who was dragging his cow to the cattle shed after feeding grass in the grass field. The master wanted to milk the cow to distribute milk in the town. However, the cow wanted to have more grass and feed himself. Both the master and the cow were pulling each other in two different opposite directions. The cow was screaming with pain and grief as well. The cow and the man were making a huge struggle for hours. Having seen this, the chief monk told his disciples to rush there and surround the two, as he wants to teach a lesson for life. Then the monk continued and asked his disciples, "Who is bound to whom? Is the cow bound to the man? Or is the man bound to the cow? Who is the master and who is the slave? Is the farmer the master or slave, or is the cow the master or the slave? Which one do you all think?" Then the disciples said, "Of course, Lord, the cow is bound to the master, as the rope is held with the master. Therefore the cow is a slave to the cow's master. The poor cow has to go wherever he goes. Therefore the cow is the slave and the man is the master. The innocent cow has to do whatever the master instructs, so the cow is a slave." Then the chief monk said, "Okay, fine. Now see what happens." The chief monk took the scissors from his bag and cut the rope which the master was dragging the cow. Then suddenly the cow ran towards the green field to have grass, leaving the master aside. The master started running towards the cow to catch the cow. Then the chief monk asks the disciples to see now, what's happening. "Can you see who the master is?" The chief monk asked. "Is the cow any more a slave of the master? Is the cow any more interested in the master?" "Further," asked the chief monk, "as a matter of fact, the cow wants to escape from his master, who tortures him by pulling him from the rope and forcefully feeds the cow in the grassy land for a few minutes, and then drags the cow to the cattle shed to milk the cow, not even without allowing the calf to have milk." The disciples, who realized what happened, told the chief monk that this time the master is chasing the cow, so the master has become the slave, as the man is bound to the cow. Likewise, all the rubbish and nonsense in our minds are not interested in us. But we are keeping the rubbish with us, like the rope tied around the cow's head, being used to drag the pathetic cow wherever the master takes him. We are holding the rubbish in our minds without releasing the rubbish. The moment we lose interest in the garbage that we keep and stir up well with negative emotions and incidents in our mind, the garbage in our mind will disappear. The garbage will disappear like the cow that went away to the field. We hold the rubbish and garbage in our minds like forcibly dragging the cow from the rope. As soon as we release the grabbed rope, our mind is free from unnecessary thoughts. The free mind is then not the slave of the mind held up with rubbish and all the junk. In life, we keep all unnecessary thoughts in our minds. Our mind suffers from these unnecessary thoughts. Hence the suffering mind becomes the slave of rubbish thoughts that we keep hold of. The feeling of jealousy, anger, comparison with others, ownership of things that belong to others, and so on, are not interested in our mind. But it is us who tie and keep it in our mind and procrastinate and get overwhelmed over unnecessary rubbish. Sometimes we keep it for years, entangling rather than erase and tangle from our minds. As soon as we empty our minds of the rubbish, we are going to live in bliss.